Let us do good day to all our brothers and sisters. Um, we have come back again to our live streaming sessions. I think on the previous video, the first video of the year, we updated you on some of the programs we are about to inculcate into our activities. So those who watched it, you see that there's a new review, or there's a total review of our activities, and then some of the things you're going to introduce, like the master classes and all those things. So going forward this year is no joke business, because from this year going up to 2030, it's a serious business, a serious zone, and a lot of things are going to change our lives, and a lot of things are going to change in our lives. If you want to know more about the information, just go and Google what is going to happen between 2025 to 2030. Realize that our world is going to change. Many things are going to change. Look at some of the drastic decisions that Donald has taken since his insertion and inauguration as the new president of the United States of America. A lot of things are going to change. Trust me, a lot of things are going to change. And the earlier we prepare ourselves for the times that is lying ahead of us, the better it is for all of us. Whether you accept it or not, whether you believe it or not, as long as you live in this world, the world is going to change. Our way of doing this is going to change. Our life structure, our social construct is going to change. Everything about our lives is going to change. Whether for the better or for the worse, depends on how you have developed your own self. It is very necessary that from 2025 you begin to develop yourself in order to attain personal independence. And that is the more reason why today we are starting our year teaching with attaining personal independence. Because the issue is, nations has become independent, but the citizens of the nations are dependent. What I know is, it is citizens that makes up a nation. But nations fight for their own independence. So Ghana fought for their independence in 1956 or so. Different countries fought for their independence. But the citizens that are supposed to make up the nation are still dependent. And a nation that has not been successful to develop its citizens to be independent, that nation struggles and that nation suffers. So when you look at the life of the Ghanaian, or totally, collectively, the life of African, on the average, almost every average Ghanaian or African is independent. It's not independent, it's dependent. And that is the problem we have as a people. We are not independent in our thinking, we are not independent in our emotions, and we are not independent in our actions, which is in terms of our senses. And because we have not been able to attain that level of self-independence or personal independence, people are exploiting us. We are being exploited at our work premises, our workplaces. We are being exploited by religious leaders. We are being exploited by some spiritual teachers. We are being exploited by politicians. We have been exploited by husbands. We have been exploited by wives. We have been exploited left, right, center, because you have not attained independence. And the one on which you depend has always the upper hand to determine what happens to you, what you can do and what you cannot do. So basically, one needs to the need for personal independence. The need for personal independence, it's very, very necessary. is one thing you cannot underplay. So then, what is personal independence, and how can one attain that personal independence? This year, going forward, I want to announce that we are going to limit our time. We may not go that 2 hours because there are a lot of things that we need to do. That is one, and two, we would have to cut down some of the things we say, and then because sometimes it becomes a little bit sensitive. So some of these things we are going to restrict it to the master class that we are going to have. So that is just by the way. So probably we will not be going that long hours like we used to go previously, unless of course otherwise the universe is directing us to go under certain isolated or special cases and circumstances. But all things being equal, we'll try to limit the videos that we do. So yes, attaining personal independence. If you want to attain total freedom in life, where you live life to its fullest, you must strive to attain your independence. You must live a life that is not excessively dependent on another person or another thing or another nation. And as I said, that is why nations are fighting for independence. Why are nations fighting for independence? Because nations fight for independence because they cannot leave the entire nation or run the entire nation depending on other nations. So in as much as we can interrelate and be interdependent, it is necessary for one to attain his or her personal independence. Then after you have attained your personal independence, we can now do what? Interdepend on ourselves. But if you don't attain personal independence and you begin to depend on other people, literally you become like a slave to that person. And the reason why a lot of people today are struggling with life, and it appears they have no grip on life and they don't have control over their time, is because they are living a life of dependence. Some people call it dependency syndrome. When you live a life of dependence, or you are trapped within that dependency syndrome, you notice that everything that happens in your life, the slightest thing that happens in your life, you are looking for somebody to fall on. You cannot be independent in your thinking. Always you are looking for somebody to advise you. You cannot be independent in your emotions. You have no control over your emotions, because independence simply means having control. That is what independence is, or literally that's all it means. Having control, or wielding your own power, or being able to develop yourself in order to make decisions for yourself. That is the whole concept of independence. So if you're unable to have control over your life and your environment, you have no control over your thoughts, you have no control over your emotions, you have no control over your senses, that means that you have not yet attained independence. And a lot of people in life think that they are independent, but the truth of the matter is that majority of people in life are not independent. Most people in life act based on what they have been told. Whether it is spirituality, whether it is work, whether it is relationship, whether it is family, most of us function based on the things we have been told. And that is not independence. And to be able to function as a full-fledged God incarnate on earth, there's one thing you can never do without, and that is working towards the attainment of your independence, psychologically, emotionally, and sense-wise. You must be able to attain independence. That is why one intelligent musician once said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Literally, he's saying that emancipate yourself from mental dependence. And this is what the Way Network is all about. And this is what we seek to do. What we seek to do is to give you your own power back again. The power that religion has taken from you. The power that some spiritual people have taken from you. The power that society have taken from you. The power that politics have taken from you. We seek to tell you the truth, to restore and to bring you back this power. And the first stage of this attainment of this power is for you to have absolute personal independence, where you live life to the extent that you don't need to solely depend on people for what to do, how to do, and where to do what you want to do. And this is the problem we have as a people. I remember lately we did a video on how to call it, forecasting, and it brought a whole lot of problem. People were calling me to say, why am I speaking so, and am I no more doing forecasting? You know, people send me message, and then I saw the pervasiveness of dependency syndrome. Then I got to realize that I never knew the magnitude of the energy of dependency that is ruling people until we did the video on forecast. Then I realized that people are heavily dependent on forecast, which in itself is slavery. Which in itself is a form of slavery, because when you absolutely depend on something, you become psychologically incapacitated to be able to liberate yourself and to live independently of that thing. So now people are unable to live an independent life of forecast. That their whole life is shrouded around the predictions that comes at the end of the year for the forthcoming year. And this in itself is slavery. Yes, but people could not understand because they are trapped within the dependency syndrome. So there are people who think that they are university graduates, there are people who think they are master's holders, PhD holders, there are people who think that they are elite in society. Still they are enslaved to other people's thoughts and other people's perception in relation to their life and what is supposed to happen to their lives. This is what we call dependency syndrome. And it is the worst thing that could happen to you. The worst of the worst thing that could happen to you as a person. Because divinity resides in all of us. The Christ essence is in all of us. The holy breath is in all of us. The power of the universe that gives us consciousness resides in us. And we are supposed to be dependent on that energy within us that will give us, in the external dimension, independent of other people. So where we are supposed to be dependent, we are not dependent on it. And where we are supposed to be independent, that is where we become dependent. And so doing, we have enslaved our thinking, our emotions, by externalizing our dependency syndrome. That we think that this my uncle must help me. Your uncle hasn't, it's not your uncle's right to help you. He can choose to help you or not. It's not the right of a friend to help you. It's not mandatory for a friend to help you. It's not mandatory for the government to help you. These things we must understand if you want to break that limitation of the energy that limits our progress. It has to begin from here. One of the problems we have as a people is that we think that the problems we have, people should solve them for us. So when you have the slightest problem, you'll be running to a pastor. You have the slightest problem, you'll be running to a prophet. You have the slightest problem, you'll be running to a spiritual teacher, who you may perceive can be of help to you. And then, in so doing, we deny ourselves power. And this is the saddest thing that is happening to humanity. And the saddest thing that can happen to you is to deny your own power and looking up to somebody else's power. Because each and every soul was given power to aid himself and to fulfill his mission in life. Why do you deny your own power and then go after other people's power, which is meant for their own purpose fulfillment? This is the dependency syndrome. And people are so crazily trapped within this life pattern that it gets to a time they appear to be very powerless. And we become so dependent to the extent that sometimes we think without people around us, we can do nothing, absolutely nothing. But I come to announce to you that all that you need is already inside of you. All that you seek, all the greatness, the joy, the happiness, the contentment, the wealth, everything that you so desire in this material dimension is already embedded inside you. And you need to break away from that dependency, external dependency syndrome, to be independent in your thinking in order to be able to tap into this frequency. Because as long as you keep externalizing your thoughts, people are going to exploit you. Because the truth of the matter is that we hold this truth that we all human beings are created equal. All human beings are created equal. This is the truth of the matter. We are all created equal. And within each and every essence, within each and every being, there is an essence which is sublime, which is divine. And in that essence is the constitution of everything you would ever need. So it is very necessary to learn to work out your own elevation, to work out your own liberation. Because sitting and depending on people will rather make your case or your situation worse. I am not saying you cannot consult somebody for an advice. That's what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you can't reach to somebody for assistance. That's if, let's say, I'm driving and my car gets a fault. Obviously, I'll reach out to a mechanic to assist me. But that is not dependency, literally. You understand? But where very, very basic things of life, which is within the remit of your ability, you still cannot do anything about it until somebody else comes to do something for you also, or to teach you what to do. Then it becomes a problem. And as African continent, we are overly and heavily dependent. Irrespective of the fact that we are independent nation, our independence is absolutely irrelevant. and absolutely meaningless, because you have not been able to live up to the spirit of independence. You have both gold, bauxite, manganese, oil, everything we have. And yet we need to depend on some other nations, even to approve of our budget. We're always going to the IMF for loans. We're always going to the World Bank for issues. Always going to the WHO. So that independence we talk about is absolutely meaningless. And to be able, I repeat, to be able to make a meaningful life for yourself and to live a life of contentment, you must be self-dependent. Because being self-dependent is literally mean having independence. So the only dependence that you should have is on yourself, and that is why we keep on hammering self-realization. Know yourself, discover yourself, go within yourself, because the only true independence is learning to rely on yourself, self-dependence. In all nations that has made it big and the citizens are comfortable are nations that learned to depend on themselves. And in 2025, going forward to 2030, those who can strive in this period are people who have mastered the act of self-dependence, the act of depending on their self. And that is why in life, when everything should fail you, the only encouragement that they have to give you is don't give up on yourself. Listen to yourself. Depend on yourself. Because actually, the truth of the matter is, from the word go in the beginning, we must live our lives based on self-dependence, which is independence. Go in and depend on it. Go in, that's independent, to be dependent on the inside, not on the outside. Just like invention is to go in and bring it out, just like innovation is to go in and innovate, because the greatest of all the things you're looking for is within you. It's never been outside of you. This is something we have been saying for more than a year, that all the great things you're looking for is inside of you. It's never been outside. So it doesn't matter whether it's forecast is outside of you. It's a prediction of the constellations, and it is outside of you. Therefore, it is not something that you can depend on. You need independence from forecast. I do forecast myself, so I cannot tell you that it is evil. That's not what I am saying. If people misunderstood me, that is not what I am saying. I am saying that forecast, as good as it may appear, there's something more higher and more profound than overly being dependent on forecasting or prediction. Because obviously, it is external. And that is why they couldn't give it any better name than prediction. And we all know the meaning of the word prediction, something that may or may not happen. Because nobody has control over it except you. That's why they give it the name prediction, and it's a good name that fits forecast. So anything what I'm trying to say is that anything which is external, that you need to extend your thought and extend your attention to, is still limited and is still fallible. But the only thing which is limitless and infallible is the essence within your being. So that is where you need the independence. Independence simply means taking your thought outside and bringing it inside. So maybe if I should craft a word, is out. If I should craft a word to give a better explanation, I would say that break the spell of out dependence to independence. So instead of depending on the outside, rather depend on the inside. That is the simple meaning of the word independence. So you go and depend within yourself. So if it's a nation, the nation must depend within the nation. Look at the people in the nation, depend on the people in the nation, depend on the mineral resources in the nation, depend on the capacities in the nation. This is the essence of independence. And because our national leaders, they themselves have not attained personal independence, they are unable to grasp the full concept of national independence. So when they are made the president, when they are made the ministers, the first people they consult is the outside world. And this is the problem we are having as a people. When you take our president, His Excellency President Mahama was just sworn in as a president, which were the first people who were calling upon him? These were foreign envoys. You see, you as a person or as a nation, you only think of the outside world when you have been successful with your independence. Then you permit me to use the crafted word out dependence. Before you take your dependence out, you must first independent your thought. I don't know how well it is true, but one of the things is being alleged that is in the system is that one of the first things that the new leader is thinking about is to privatize the ECG. You see, no foresight of independence. It's out dependence, depending on the outside. You understand? Sourcing outside. And this is what is killing us as a people. Because the leaders that we have themselves, they have not attained personal independence. So most of them are not qualified to be leaders. Because a leader that can lead its nation and its citizenry to be successful must be leaders who have attained personal independence. And this is one of the reasons why I have never chosen to have the desire to travel outside the country. To stay outside the country. I've had people who have pleaded with me. But it is not my interest. Because I don't believe my success lies outside of my jurisdiction. That wherever I am placed, there is a tendency of me making life out of the place. If I'm to go think outside, then I have looked inside. Okay, fine. I need A, B, C. This is what this so-called civilized nation do. They look internally, and the things that they lack internally, they go outside and go and look for it and bring it inside. Because all their thought is internalized. All their thought is independence. All their thought is to depend on the inside. So if they are dependent on the inside, they realize, oh, what we are doing, we need gold or we need oil to be able to do what we are doing within our nation. And we don't have oil. Where can we get oil? Where can we go? Okay, let's go to Libya. Libya has oil. Then we go and take Libya's oil and bring it inside. But your people, what do? They take what is inside and give it outside. Why? Because their thought is always outsourcing, out-dependence. And this is the problem we have as a people. And this is why it is very imperative that we need to have people who will be psychologically and emotionally independent. Because you cannot run an independent nation with dependent people. It literally makes the independence agenda meaningless. And that's what Kwame Nkrumah said. The independence of Ghana is meaningless until it links to the total liberation of all African continent. So it's all about liberation of the way we think. And because people didn't get it, he had to write a book on neocolonialism. And that led to his attack. As I said, there are things I don't want to say no more on the platform. Those who come for the master classes will be talking about it today. Because we need new liberation, psycho liberation. That is why when you watch one of our agendas at the Way Network, psycho spiritual development, we need to set the minds free, emancipate the mind. Because you can never have a truly independent nation when the citizens are dependent. Because it is the citizens that becomes the leaders. So when the citizens are dependent and the nation has attained independence, and an independent nation is being run by dependent minds, then the mind will send the nation back into dependency. And that's the dependency syndrome we're having as an African continent. Look at what our neighbor brothers in Burkina Faso are doing. Wonderful. Once they had a leader who is independent in thought, he has a personal independence, the whole concept of the whole nation of Burkina Faso has changed to independence. And the independence of Burkina Faso now has become meaningful. If I'm taking a minister, I will never give audience to any foreign envoy. When you come to me, I have my conditions. Because we can do without them. This is the truth of the matter. We have books, we have gold, we have bauxite, we have manganese, we have lithium, we have oil, we have everything. We don't need them. Actually, they need us. What is wrong with us as a people? They need us. We don't need them. And they know they need us. And because they don't want us to realize how much they need us, they try to psychologically enslave us. So we need to wake up from our slumber. We need to wake up from our slumber of the syndrome of dependency. Now look at all the youth. They think if they don't get to Europe or America, they can never be successful. It's a dependency syndrome. But there are people who have made it wonderfully well without never stepping their foot in at the airport. I know people in this nation that have made it wonderfully without never sitting in a plane, even to travel to Kumasi. I am not saying traveling is wrong. That is what I'm saying. I'm not saying going outside to do something is wrong. That is not what I am saying. Sometimes people doesn't take time to listen. Most people listen with a prejudiced mind. Like the forecast that I did, people were listening to the prejudiced mind because they are enslaved and entrapped within the dependency syndrome of the forecast. As soon as I started mentioning forecast and saying certain things which is not in alignment with their concept of forecast, then they become prejudiced of what I'm saying, and then they jump into wrong conclusion. But this is something I also do sometimes. So how would I rise against it that it is evil? That's not what I was saying. You see, because the mind is trapped within the dependency syndrome. We are bringing you through awakening. And the things we are telling you, trust you, me, is one of the highest teachings you can give all over the world. I remember one man called me and said, Mr. Meza, when yama o chene de e abrofun me call YouTuber, abrofun na munso mo kasa nyama no. Na be before the mo kasa nyama no. A man called me and told me. And I told him there, but our people are not listening. Some of the things we teach are the most profound and the most highest teaching you can have in this whole of the universe. Na sebe tafra chanka mi obroni na miti baby anka by this time scan ebu mi so. Honestly speaking. And I'm a black American po. Now I can speak, hey man, what's up? I gotta go there and all this, and I can slang it. By this time I'm making a whole lot of money. Because these are real-time teachings that will bring you real-time transformation. We have training session with people who are giving real-time experiences of applying the knowledge and the things that we are teaching, and they are getting real-time results. They're getting results in real time. The problem is here. The problem of the African, of the black African, is here. We think right. We think we feel right. We think we do right. But when you come to that awakening in consciousness, you realize you don't think right. You don't feel right and you don't do right. And most people, all their lives, are living a life of ignorance and dependency. And it is a syndrome. It's a serious syndrome that if your eyes is not open, somebody doesn't help you to come to that realization, you will never know. For instance, let me give a classical scenario. Nothing will make me get home and there's no food on the table and I'll get pissed off. I won't. Anybody that knows my wife can ask. I won't. Nothing will make you get home and food is in the deep freezer and my food has not been warmed and I'll get pissed off. I won't. Because I'm not trapped within that dependency syndrome. I'll go to the fridge, get the food and then heat it and eat my thing. Because of the psychological independence. But how many men will go home and their wife is asleep, food is in the deep freezer or fridge, just to warm it and heat it? It will be a problem. It's going to be a marital issue. If any care is not taken, it's going to lead to a divorce. That is the level of dependency syndrome. But such a person would think that he's independent in his thinking. He's not. The overly reliance on another external force for assistance is a dependency syndrome. And this is what is killing us as black people. That is what is killing us as a people. So we need, for us to realize the true independence of Ghana and Africa as a continent, we need to develop people who would attain personal independence. Sorry. Learn to work things out yourself. Now you go to the church, everybody is waiting for Jesus Christ to come and take them to heaven. Dependency syndrome. When you go to the mosque, everybody is looking out to Muhammad and Allah. Dependency syndrome. Everybody is looking out to Buddha. Dependency syndrome. What's that Buddha, that Jesus, that Christ, that energy is inside of you? Our whole world in religion, in spirituality, is all trapped in dependency syndrome. Our workplaces is trapped in dependence. I remember the other spiritual group that we were in, everything so the master's grace. Everything we say the master's grace. And I only grew up to realize this is absolute nonsense. Excuse my language. Everything the master's grace. And I realized that we've been trapped in that dependency, the overly dependence on the master's grace. And we are denying ourselves, our divinity. We are denying our self-power based on master's grace. Meanwhile, the master himself has so many things to take care of with his or her grace. And the master herself or himself has challenges he's dealing with, or he is dealing with. And overly dependent on this master's grace tends to drain the master. And then it's keeping us, because what actually will make us who we are supposed to be and make us attain our greatness is within ourselves. It's not in anybody's grace. It's within the divine grace inside of us. And we must learn to be independent, to depend within ourselves, the divine grace inside of us. But we externalizes the grace. When you come to the church, the same thing. We externalizes the grace. Believe Jesus Christ as a Lord and Savior. How can you believe something that you already have? It's absurd. This is one of Ramos's contentions with the church. always accept Christ. I mean, what that Christ is inside you, the Bible says it. How can you accept something you already have it? So it's absolutely a whole system of absurdity that you find. Where is it coming from? Yes, but that's the only way they can control you, is to make you to become trapped in that dependency syndrome. Always externalizing your thought for assistance, always externalizing your energy for assistance, whilst there is numerous reservoir of energy, countless, limitless, residing inside of you, waiting to be explored and galvanized into action. And until we break that barrier of dependency syndrome, we would always and always be a failure in life. You think that when you buy one car, build a house, get a wife, get some multiple money in your account, you think you are successful? That's your definition for success. It is a limited definition for success. This is the level of dependency syndrome. You don't call that success. Sometimes it looks a little bit, I don't want to use strong language, but it looks a little bit abnormal. Then you can have a whole president that you entrust a whole nation, 30 million people, entrust a nation with its wealth to one person, and that person will be moving from one pastor to another pastor. What's wrong with you? Then you are not capable, because if you are dependent person, you are not qualified to lead a nation. Not even to lead a family, you are not qualified if you're a dependent person. And that is why most families face a lot of chaos and confusion in the families, because the one supposed to be the head, which is the father, he himself is dependent. And how can you be a dependent person and then lead other people? Who are the people supposed to depend on? Because why? I say, a Bushani depending on also who depending on another person. We need capable, self-dependent, which is independent people, to be fathers of the family, to be heads of the family, to be heads of society, to be national leaders. If you are not an independent thinker, you are no business trying to fight for the position of a president or a community leader or an SME or SMDC or whatever they call it. You have no business there. You got to live there. If I'm a president, you know you cannot. Well, the father of when I'm a president, I will not even bring any pastor close to me. Yeah, they have their business. It's to pray for the nation. Go ahead and pray for the nation. I was telling somebody, a lady this afternoon, that if I'm a president, every policy that I make, I'll hire expert. I'll give you what I want. Now put it in a formal writing, step by step, and everything how it's supposed to be done. And I'll hand it over personally to every ministry. Because yes, you must learn to be independent. You must learn to go inside and to be able to analyze the situation which is happening and come out with a solution to resolve the situation. This is what makes you a leader. And I was telling her that, look, if I am a president, from every ministry, because before I become the president, I have taken assessment. Every ministry, what I think the ministry ultimately will be the functionality of that ministry to bring some level of relief to the citizen, I will conceptualize the idea, then I will officially pen it, the points down to a group of consultants who are experts. They are not writing anything apart from that. Just they should draft their thing in a step-by-step process, and I'll hand it over to every ministry. Roads and highways, this is how I want to do. You have no business thinking to do things on your own because you are not independent. Follow this manual and do it. That's why when you buy a car, when you buy a radio, because the one who did the radio or did the television did it out of an independent mind, and he knows that you don't have that independent mind to be able to run it, he will create a manual for you to guide you because he knows that you are not independent in your thinking. And because he doesn't want you to be going around looking for technicians and all those things to come and assemble the radio or the plasma or whatever it is for you to turn it on, he gives you a manual to guide you to do it. A president of state, before you take ministers and MPs, you just don't take people living their own life in their own circles, behaving anyhow, coming out from different cultures and new traditions. Then just pick them, minister designate, yeah, and they are listening to you, they go for vetting. And I sat down for a couple of days and I was listening to the vetting. I was like, did Ghanaians really make the right decision? Because if you're a leader and you're going to be successful, it depends on the kind of people you select around you. And if the people you select around you are not independent in their thinking, and they are not solution-oriented people who can go inside and find solution, that leader you automatically fail. And this is why all African leaders, including Ghanaian leaders, most of them fail. A leader must surround himself with independent thinkers. And it's about time we begin to develop independent people with personal independence, and these people grow up to become national leaders. Our educational curriculum doesn't train us to attain personal independence. So even when you're writing an examination and you don't write it the way the teacher wrote it, it's going to give you wrong, even if the answer was right. There was this young guy who was doing his homework, and I happened to be there, and he was being taught the homework, and it was division. Okay, so say like 10 divided by 2, and this young guy was struggling to figure out how to calculate it. So I just told him, okay, fine. Anytime, okay, I said, no, this how. So I was just standing, I had the intuition to direct him on how to simply solve the problem. So I told him, do you know something? Look, good guy. Anytime they give you division, okay, do you know what is the denominator and do you know what is the numerator? I say yes. I say fine. Anytime they give you division, you are sharing the first number with the second number. So you are sharing the first number amongst the second number. Do you understand it? He said yes. Then I asked him, so if say 2 divided by 1,000, what are you sharing? He said you are sharing the 2 for the 1,000. I said excellent. 500 divided by 3, what are you doing? So you are sharing the 500 to the 3. I said that's it. So now you understand the concept of division. Now, that number you are, if you want to get the answer straight, so let's say it's 2 divided by 5 is 5 times dash equals 10. 10 divided by 5, so it is 5 times dash equals 10. The number that you multiply 5 with that gives you the 10 is the answer. So that's another way you can write the equation. I never thought about it. I was just watching, and then the information dropped into my subconscious mind. Then I said, do you understand it? So I gave him he was able to, but the teacher was having a problem with the formula because it is not what the teacher taught him. So gradually they are molding that child to be dependent. You cannot use your own independent mind to find solutions to answers. So even the educational curriculum system that was designed by the elite is to make you dependent. Well, the elite wants always to lead you so that you be dependent on them. So the curriculum itself makes you dependent curriculum. It's a dependent syndrome curriculum. And we need to break this spell, psychological spell. And it is very necessary to be able to attain personal independence. Because without personal independence, there's no way national independence will be relevant. I repeat, without attainment of personal independence, there is no way national independence will be meaningful. It will be meaningless. And that is why Ghana and most African states, our independence is absolutely meaningless, because our independence is being spearheaded by people who are dependent in thought. So independent nation must be governed by independent minded people in order to be able to attain the results. Families must be governed by independent parents. It's not a mother who the father does something, next thing is in the next family house, complain, looking for solution to the problem, and the next person who is not married will be given an ill advice. By the time she realizes there's a broken home, and a lot of the broken home are based on dependent ideas, dependent suggestions, dependent opinions. A lot of failed businesses come or fail as a result of dependent opinion, dependent suggestion. Turn bread. You don't go inside to meditate to find out whether the bread is good for your personality or not. You don't go inside to know if it's good for your personality. How do you execute it? How do you package it? How do you do all those? You go inside. Then you begin looking at somebody who is selling charcoal, and you think the person is making money. You stop selling your bread and go sell charcoal, then you fail. So a lot of business failure is because of dependency syndrome. A lot of marriages that has collapsed is because of dependency syndrome. You 500 Ghana cedis, or let's say $5,000, and you are comparing your husband to somebody who is taking $30,000 or 300 million. Always looking on the outside. Dependency is always looking on the outside. Independence is always looking on the inside. And that is what we've always said, and we've keep on articulating. Self-realization. Go within, realize yourself, because it is one-stop shop for every solution to every problem. We're going to do what we're going to do, and I always say that I'm going to talk about this going within, depending on the self, depending on developing your personality till it sounds like a broken record, because this is the only thing Africa needs. I really don't care. All other knowledge are relevant, but they are secondary. This teaching must be integral part of childhood development. We must learn to develop ourselves. We must learn to develop our personality, to be independent in the way we feel things. What is independence in feeling? Independence in feeling is not allowing external conditions to influence the way we feel about things. That is independence in thinking, in feeling. What is independence in thinking? Independence is thinking you don't allow external suggestions and contributions and happenings to infiltrate and influence the way you see things in life. And what is independent action? Independent in action is you do not allow what other people are doing to influence what you are doing. And the problem we have is people are not independent. Always they are looking for what somebody wants to say about what he is doing. Always want to see when somebody dresses. You went to town, you saw this shoe, it was beautiful. You admired the shoe, and you saw this dress to complement the dress. It was beautiful. You liked it. You selected it. You bought it with your own money because you loved it. It looks beautiful on the dummy. You come home. It's Sunday. You're going to church. You're going to a party. You dress, and you need somebody else's comment. And when somebody passes a bad comment, you feel bad wearing that dress. That is not independent. That is not independence. You see a lady, and you watch her, and she's so beautiful, and you loved her, and you approach her, she agreed, and then you come with Charlie, I get some chick, Charlie, I get some nice lady I want to marry. You introduce her to your friend, and then your friend pass a bad comment, and then your morale is gone off. That is not independent thinking. You see this young guy, you met the guy, the guy looked handsome the first time you saw her, and something moved in your tummy, how they used to say it. And you felt goosebumps on your body, as they used to say it. And then you fell in love with this wonderful young man. And then you took this wonderful young man to your hostel, or to your home, or to your friends. And you wanted to introduce the young man to your friends. And then your friends, 2 or 3 of your friends, passed a bad comment about this wonderful young man. and you become disturbed. And you now begin to question your judgment. Is it the right decision I took? That is not independence. Because for all you know, that person, that lady, is jealous. He wants that guy for herself. And because you're not independent in your thinking and you're not resolute, you fall for that trap. And anybody who is not independent always have a sense of inferiority complexes. Anybody who is not independent always have a sense of low self-esteem. An independent-minded person is always courageous and bold. He could have the worst appearance, could have the most worst in life, but he is bold and courageous about it because of the way he's thinking. But anybody who is not independent in his thinking always have doubts. So he always need compliments of people to feel okay. He always want praises of people to feel content. And these are the things that are killing us. And it is very necessary to develop that aspect of your personality to be independent. People give you suggestions, you accept it, you take it, and you bring it in and assess it by your own self. And then you make the final decision whether to take it or to drop it. That is independent thinking. People pass a comment about your husband, and you take it and assess it. And if it's stupid, you drop it, excuse my language. That is independent thinking. People pass a comment about your dressing, you pick it and you assess it. Say a comment, I just mean to be talk out. But my objective is more than that. So irrespective of what comments that people make, it doesn't falter my judgment. It doesn't change anything because that is what I think. And I feel proud with it. You understand? That is the mindset. And always you must have that independent mindset if you want to be successful in life. If you want to have a successful marriage, if you want to have a successful business, if you want to have a successful career, you must always have an independent mindset. Excuse me? Okay. So if you want to be successful in life, you must always have that independent mindset. And there's a difference between an independent mindset and an arrogant thinking. You must also get that one too. There are some people, they don't necessarily have an independent mindset, but they are arrogant thinkers. They are egoistic thinkers. And they don't listen to nobody. That's not what I'm talking about too. Independent mindset is to be objective in what you think and what you desire. And you know exactly what you want. You be flexible to all options available on your table. Welcome all ideas, but it does not change what you want in life. If all ideas and all suggestions come to augment what you want and could make you easily achieve what you want, you adapt it. That is independent thinking. But an egoistic thinking or arrogant thinker sometimes may look like an independent thinker, but without the difference between an independent thinker and an arrogant thinker or an egoistic thinker, with the arrogant thinker, it doesn't take ideas, it doesn't take suggestions, it doesn't even give it a consideration. That's an egoistic thing. He thinks that what he thinks is the best, and there's nothing, nobody else can advise him. That is an egoistic thinker. But an independent thinker knows exactly what he wants to do, knows exactly how he's supposed to do it, and knows exactly how it's supposed to look like. Nevertheless, if somebody brings alternate idea, he would be receptive to the idea, take the idea and examine the idea. If it's worth implementing, that will augment the fulfillment of his objective mind, he will adopt it and then implement it and include it in his ideas. That is an independent thinker. But an egoistic and a proud thinker or an arrogant thinker doesn't act that way. So there's also a difference there. So I want you to get this thing clear. So we need personal independence. We need it. And this is what the Way Network seeks to do. But the success of any nation, the success of any family, the success of any relationship, the success of any business, the success of any career is based on personal independence. Because a person without personal independent thinking has no sense of direction. He just moves wherever the wind blows, because he's not objective in his thinking. And this is the problem we're having as a people. You don't need to be part of European Union to be part of the BRICS before you become successful in life. All that you need to be successful as a nation is inside the nation. Look within. China wasn't part of BRICS, neither was it part of any society before he became successful. He looked within and built inner capacity. And when he has built the capacity, he now looks outside to control the outside world. There's this Nigerian video that I watched, commentary that I watched. The guy was saying that people who make real money does not think of morality and ethics. It's after they have made the money and they come and sit down and now determine what is moral and what is ethical. You need to look internal. Look at China. It was a nation that nobody regarded for so many years ago. It looks within. Having good leaders like Mao and all that, look within, build inner capacity. But look at the kind of presidents you have. Everything they want to go out there. Everything that's slightly they want to go out there. Every slightly they want to go out there. What is wrong out there? And my problem is, for all these decades after independence, we've been looking out there and going out there, and our situation is becoming worse, and our people is becoming more impoverished, and we still keep on going out there. And we don't have any reasonable and sensible leader who wants to change the paradigm and then look within. That's the problem we're having. We don't need IMF. We don't need all these people as independent thinkers. We can get them to do certain, excuse my language, donkey jobs for us if they want to, because obviously, since we have the gold, they are supposed to come and do the donkey job for us. But when you lose sight of the value of the gold, they will take advantage of it and then you go do the donkey job for them. And this is what our leaders has placed us in. And I don't blame them, because our educational curriculum that we've so focused our attention on for years trains us to be dependent people. You understand? Always being subservient to the one who formed the curriculum. And that is the problem we have as a people. So the education curriculum gives us a subservient mentality, a mentality of dependency. And that we need to break that spell. And we must not wait for our children to become victims of the circumstances that we are victims of. I remember one of the days when I was young, back in the days, one of the things I said is, I don't understand. You know, that time there was this pen pals, the Miss Jane and all those, they will send you Bibles and all those. And one of the things I said, I don't understand why everything that has to be Bible and printing, the white man will do it. And I said, when I grow up, I will also personally write my own Bible and print it for the white man to know that it's not only that I can do all these things. I said this when I was around the age of 10 years. So this thing I have has always been from me from childhood. That is, what I was saying is just an intuitive knowledge of independence. Learning to depend on yourself, not always depending on that. Be an free before, be an free outside, be free abroad. No. Malcolm collapsed here. Look at Malcolm. So many years ago, those who could remember, they had to bring dogs from Israel. And I was so sad. I said, what kind of people are we? They have to bring dogs. Let me tell you something that happened over the weekend. I bought 2 dogs. I bought mixed breed, local dog, and then German Shepherd. Because obviously I couldn't have gone in for full German Shepherd because I need the local content inside. So I bought a mixed breed, German Shepherd, and local breed. I bought two, okay? And then when I bought these two dogs, both of them were supposed to be mixed breed, German Shepherd, and then local dog. That's mixed breed, okay? Let's just go mixed breed. But I bought them when they were very young. So growing up, I realized that yes, one of them is German Shepherd. That is beautiful. But the other one was actually a local dog. But when it was young, I had all those features. Now I bought that local dog more expensive than the German Shepherd. So 3 days later, I was just looking. 3 days later, the German Shepherd wasn't feeling too good. So I brought the vet to come home, the vet doctor to come home to come and do the treatment. And I was just looking at the local dog and the German Shepherd. I was like, crazy. Look at you. You're look at this guy cheated me. He sold the local dog to be even more expensive than I bought the mixed breed German Shepherd. Then a voice told me, what's wrong with you? Why do you feel bad buying your local content more expensive than something which is foreign? I don't know if you are getting what I'm trying to say. I suppose you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Because of the fact that it is local content, you think it's to be cheap because it has no value. And because this dog is a German Shepherd dog, it has to be expensive because it is coming from, it's a German breed. And I said, no. That's what kind of thinking is this? I should rather be proud to buy my local content at a higher price. And once it's coming from outside, I should buy it cheaper because this is not what I need. But you see, that's how it works. So if I didn't have that intuitive, personal, independent thinking, I would fall victim to that assertion that I was making. Basically, the conscious mind was making that assertion, and then the subconscious mind came in and overwrite what the conscious minds were thinking. Because the conscious mind, don't forget, it is programmed based on the things we experience, those are the things you have been taught in our schools. And what you have been taught in our schools trains us to be subservient people. That anything which is foreign is better, must be expensive, and anything which is local is inferior and should be less expensive. This is how education programmed our conscious mind. So once I went through, I'm a product of that educational system. There's nothing wrong me having that thought. You call it auto thought, automatic thought. But because of that liberation that is lying within the very essence of my subconscious, quickly it reacted and brought a rebuttal to what the conscious mind was saying, and it was training the conscious, it was reprimanding or rebuking the conscious mind that is not the right thinking. And instantly I became happy and I became satisfied that it was everything right for me to buy the local content more expensive than the foreign content. So even to some of us that we are even on the path trying to develop our personality, sometimes there's that tendency of infiltration. So please, it is very necessary to develop your personality in order to attain personal independence. And there is no way you can attain personal independence without developing your personality. And that is why I carefully sat down to design the workshop Personality Development. Because this is what we went through to break that spell, that psychological spell that easily enslaved us, for us to think anything white, anything Western, anything European is superior. I think I've told you this before. When we used to live in our older house in Nansuma with my father, when my father was alive, a lady next to our house made a salon, and then I was standing in front of the gate with my father, and the first day he opened the salon, the first day he launched the salon, a white lady walked into the salon to plait the hair. Then my father said to me that, hey, Pa, look, Gideon, mommy, I said it in Ghana, so I said it in Tree because Ghana, a lot of people may not understand. Gideon, mommy, be in the salon, and the first person ababe unity, that means the shop they be pa. I say, wait a minute, Dad. You are an enlightened. I know you are enlightened, so you are a spiritual practitioner. How can you have this mindset? So the fact that Obunia Bemu first in Intina no be na Bemu then I'm so about to say anka shop near NDA. You see, that is the new slavery mentality, the dependency syndrome. We have been so programmed to be subservient that anything superior, anything in foreign is superior. And when the programming is done in such a way, it is easy to look down upon anything which is coming out of your kind. Because already they've made you to become dependent on something which is foreign, external, out of your fold. So when somebody from your fold is telling you something, you don't place value on it. I remember we went for a workshop, leadership training workshop at Workers College, and then these guys were from Buffalo University back in the days, and they came to talk about leadership and personal development. And then I was there. Then I've not started the Way Network, so I went on the capacity of my NGO, not former, it's still in existence, Parts of the Earth. We're talking about personal, and I wake up and I said, okay, fine, what people are saying is ABC is fine, but it's not applicable in our jurisdiction. Because these people you are talking about, for all their life, they've been living in an uncomfortable zone. So when you come to the person and tell the person that you must leave your comfort zone, the man has no comfort zone in the first place. So this team for the work, the leadership workshop itself is not right on arrival. But you are talking from somebody in Sukura, somebody from Nima, you understand, who all his life has been living in an uncomfortable zone. And you are telling him to leave his comfort zone to uncomfortable zone. You have to leave your comfortable zone to an uncomfortable to create ideas, because all this while you have been living comfortably. So you don't know what is pain. But this is a group of people who are living on 1-2 square meals, maximum 2 square meals a day. Have no proof of what to eat tomorrow. You are telling him to leave his comfort zone. There's no comfort zone. So the thing must be changed from leaving your discomfort zone to a comfort zone, so that at least you see a new version of living, that people are living more comfortably, that you have to, that will influence you to live the kind of lifestyle that you are conversant with, to aim and aspire higher dreams. So then the white guy was like, he asked the Ghanaian professor, do you have such people in this country? And you flew us all over from Europe, US, to come and do this conference. Said, these are the people we need. Subsequent to that, I took them to a few practical sessions. And then it's like the white lady, I remember her name was Colleen. He said, look, we are just telling the people, but it appears you have the technical knowledge to prove to the people. But what happened? This is what happened. They were talking about how to develop career and all. They were talking about yoga and all those things. So after they said, I said, no, I raised up my hand. I said, okay, fine, I'm Parts of the Earth. I'm Fred from Parts of the Earth. All you have to say is nice, but it doesn't work well for the people because it's not applicable. You need to prove to the person what he needs to do. Then the white guy said that. So no, the whites, there are some people. Those guys, there are some people. They just want to always put you to the test and then prove yourself beyond reasonable doubt. And say, okay, fine. So can you prove what you are saying? I say, yeah, why not? So there was this lady who woke up. He said, who is here wants to know what he wants to be in the future or the kind of career he wants to do in the future? After I've given some about 5 minutes, 10 minutes talk, then the lady got up. She finished Legon. I said, what's your date of birth? She gave me a date of birth. I said, what's your first name? She gave me her first name. I just started within 1 minute. I said, no, by what I see here, you are supposed to be a born fashion designer. The lady started crying. He said, from childhood, she's good at fashion. And all she has dreamt from childhood was to become a fashion designer. But the father said no. And she went to Legon to do linguistics. And now she doesn't even have a job. And the only thing which is fetching her money is sewing for people, which she didn't officially learn how to do it. Then quickly, the Colleen told the one professor from Legon that this is the guy you need. You don't need to fly us here. For we are telling the children, this guy has the practical knowledge. Quickly, he told me to form a collaboration with one Professor Dorothy, because they wanted to open a personality development department at UCC. So they gave me the address to email to correspond with the person. And the white lady Colleen said that, Fred, please make sure you help to form that that department. So I was going, then I let that, something that I should turn back. When I turned back, I heard her tell Colin that this is the guy we need, he's good. Typical of the black guy, because this Professor Dorothy was a black woman, I think, who is a professor in New York. Typical of a black attitude. I sent her message, she never replied. I sent her emails, she never replied. One day, Colin sent me an email that he's not been hearing anything from this. I said, no, you should ask Professor Dorothy. And that was all. I didn't say anything. I didn't say that whether I sent her email. I said she should just revert to Prof to find out from her what the issues are. And that was all. And that was the end of it. It never come to. It never saw the light of day. This is the kind of people, because she's been programmed to think that how could a black guy have this knowledge? But even the foreign guy, recognizing and appreciated the knowledge. Because I didn't have PhD, I didn't have DR in front of my name. You see, this is how, because this calling lady did not even care to ask my credential. All she cared about that, I proved it beyond reasonable doubt, so I'm qualified to help establish that department. But she wanted somebody with a DR or somebody with a PhD behind his title, his name. So this is the mindset. So we need to be able to break this dependency syndrome, this syndrome of always externalizing our thought. It doesn't matter whether it is spirituality, whether it is metaphysics, whether, if it does not direct your thought to go inside of yourself, forget it's going to fail you. Whatever you learn, if it does not direct your thought to go inside of yourself, trust you me, it's going to enslave you, it's going to fail you. This they don't want you to know. This, I repeat, they don't want you to know. And this is what we have come into this world in a time like this to let you know, because this is the only thing that will carry you forward. You must learn to go inside. You must learn to pay attention. You must learn to visualize. How many people can visualize and hold a picture in their mind for 1 minute or 2 minutes? And you can't do this, then how can you be creative? You can't do this, then how can you be inventive? That is why even when you're building your house and they ask you, what color do you want? You said, I don't know. Because your creative ability is gone. Creativity is our essence. Everybody has the ability of creativity. Because you can't even go inside and create and hold the thought for a while. You can't go inside and sit down and just imagine a particular tune. Without the music playing, you can just hear the sound by your conscious creation. You can't even go inside without hearing a smell. You can imagine and feel the smell of your own perfume use as though you have sprayed the perfume. These are your natural abilities. You should be able to harness these abilities. This is what you need for life. It's not all this PhD. Forget it. I know PhD holders who commit suicide because they didn't know what to do with their lives tomorrow. Some of them were white and some of them were blacks. I know PhD holders who are frustrated in their marriages. I know PhD holders who are frustrated with their work. I know PhD holders who are failures. I know PhD holders who cannot run nations successfully. They cannot run companies successfully. And I know people without PhD who have set up an enterprise and built a business empire. I know people who are not PhD holders who have done great inventions. I know people who are not PhD holders who are making marvelous transformation of the universe. And most people who have changed the course of human history were people who are not PhD holders as at the time they achieved that. But it is after they have fulfilled that, then they give them the Nobel Peace Prize and then they give them all those 100 degrees and titles and professorship. But most people who have changed the course of history are people who learn to depend upon themselves. Learn to go inside, to be independent people and independent thinkers. And you can never be a successful leader if you cannot think independently. You can never be a successful family head if you cannot think independently. You should, as a family head, as a husband or a wife, a mother of a family, you should have an independent mind for your children. what exactly you want, how exactly and what exactly you want to put your children on. And then you mold these children according to their natural ability, the way they should grow. Not the way you want them to grow, but the way they should grow. You mold them with that independent mind. And when these children grow, they will never depart from it. As a president of a nation like Ghana, you need an independent mindset. You should know exactly what you want for your nation. Else you can never be a successful president or a successful leader. You should know exactly what you want for your nation. If you're an MP, you should know exactly what you want. If you are an ambassador, you should know exactly what you stand for. This is independent takers. Not that you go to this thing, go to meeting, when the meeting you go to banquet and sit down and eat and laugh and drink whiskey over it, and then that is all. And that is why we don't have African nations to be creative. Go to the hospitals. Our doctors are not independent thinkers, so they are not innovative in their execution of their medical professions. When you go to hospital and then the diagnosis says that you have no malaria, even if you show the symptoms of malaria, most of the doctors will tell you that the lab says that there's nothing wrong with you, to go home. And a lot of people have died out of this because they are not independent in their thinking. They have been told that when the lab results come, it's A, B, C, D. Sometimes you go to the hospital and then you are talking to the doctor. When he diagnoses you, you go to Google. Then there's a website that they'll be looking at. Then they'll be, this is not independent thinking. But anytime you meet an experienced doctor, when these young doctors who bluff around with their phones, when you meet an experienced doctor, when all this also, if he can apply his experience, his independent mind regarding the situation, regarding medicine over the period and the experience he acquired, he will use to save the situation and save the day and save a human life. We need independent thinkers. We need independent people. We need personality with independence. If we want to make anything out of life and to create a better tomorrow, we need independent thinkers. We need personal independence. The way we see things must be independently done. The way we feel about things must be independently done. And the way we do things must be independently done. Else, we remain subservient to those who have attained their independence, to those who have attained their true independence. And that independence has become meaningful to those people. They are going to rule us. So we need to wake up. All this is to go to the university to go and study what it is. If somebody has never been to the university and built an empire, and you have been to the university and go work for that person who has never been to the university, don't you think there's something wrong with you? Don't you think there's something wrong? Oh no, go school. Yes, you go school. Now, what degrees, first degrees, master's degrees. We end up working for somebody who has never been to the classroom, and you think it's normal. Something should tell you that there's something missing. Because greatness does not come from school. Greatness comes from independent way of seeing things. If you want to be great, have an independent approach to things, which is unique and peculiar, independent, free of all other general perceptions. This is why I keep standing. Self-realization, personality development. I know others people have started also trying to go into that field and all those things. Yes, it's also fine and beautiful, but it is. You must always have an independent perspective. And everything I come to discuss with you about are things that I received intuitively. If you want to be successful, the only thing I can tell you from the very honesty of my heart, from the very sincere depth of my heart, is to be able to develop your independent personality. You must be independent in the way you think. You must be independent in the way you see things. You must be independent in the way you smell things. You must be independent in the way you taste things. You must be independent in the way you hear things. You must be independent in the way you feel things. And you must be independent in the way you do things. That will make you a unique person. And it is that uniqueness that people will pay and money for and recognize and appreciate. If you want to do what all other people are doing, there's no price for you. So we need this personal independence ability or capacity. And when you attain, there's one testimony that really moved my heart. I don't know if I should mention her name, but let me hold her name because it's not common of me. There's this lady who is part of the class that we are about to end. She gave a testimony. I've had a lot of wonderful testimony from people who are the group I'm working with right now in the personality development class. But that lady's testimony always comes to play in my mind. Anytime I sit quietly to take a gross assessment of the various testimony and people's assessment and development, that it keeps coming back and on. This lady called, well, I done class, I said everybody should share his opinion, experiences and all this. Though he find it difficult, she said, I must be honest, I find it difficult doing the practice and I will do my best to put more time into it. But that is how be it. There's one thing I always appreciate, and Mr. Mr. I want to thank you for, and that is that my overly dependence on pastors. Now I feel independent in my thinking and how I feel about things. Unlike before, the slightest thing I need to go to a pastor, I've seen this pay 1,200. I said, let's use the word 1,200 before we can pray and solve the problem for you. Any small thing, you have to call this pastor, always worried, looking around, looking for somebody to liberate you, to give you confidence, to give you words of encouragement. He said, if not for anything at all, I've been liberated from that hold and that bondage. And at least now I am independent. And I'm able to assess things the way and then deal with issues, though I'm not making enough time to do the practice. But this I can testify, and I thank you, Mr. Minister. And this testimony, because it's one of the biggest objective of the personality development which is coming, the personality development workshop, which is coming from the Way Network, is to make people independent. And I've always said to people that you don't need me. You only come to me because you don't know what I know. But if you get to know what you know, you will have to be independent. We can now share ideas. This has been our objective. This has been my objective and our objective as a whole, as an organization, is to make people independent in their way of life. So that at worst, you share ideas, you share opinions, you share, concepts, but not that you overly depend on other people for your basic survival. When I say this, I'm not talking about food. I mean the essence of existence. And that testimony touches my heart every time. There are a lot of testimonies which people have given and what they've been able to do and achievement by following the course and implementing some of the things that we teach. And most of them has gotten that independence right now, even the way they see it is. And one of the wonderful testimony I also had over last 2 weeks or something, this brother also said, when somebody asked me a question, he's so practiced the curriculum, put the workshop into practice to the extent that now when somebody asks me, when he's watching the live streaming and somebody asks a question or I read the question, he can begin to answer the question before I start, and sometimes he can even express it the way, and when I'm talking, I'll talk exactly the way he's talking. I mean, the choice of words I use is the same thing he'll be using before I start answering the question. This is wonderful. And this is all abilities within ourselves. All we need to do is to develop our independent way of perceiving life. And that is the only way we can think outside of the box. To be able to think outside of the box is to have an independent, unique approach to life. Not what you have been told by school, not what you have been told by the universities, not what you have been told by the colleges. of education. But you do what the self tells you to do. So please, it is very necessary to have a personal independence. And as a nation, if we don't develop our people to have personal independence, trust you me, our independence will become meaningless. So if Kwame Nkrumah says that the independence of Ghana is meaningless until at least the total liberation of all African continent, I want to tell you that the independence of Ghana and Africa shall always remain meaningless until it is linked up to the independence of its citizens. I repeat again, the independence of Ghana and Africa would always remain meaningless until it is linked up to the independence of its citizens. So if the citizens of Ghana and Africa have not attained their personal independence, the national and continental independence would always remain meaningless, because the people who take on the continental, national and continental mantle have not attained independence. So they will end up dragging the country into psychological dependence. This is what I'm trying to say. And for our independence as a nation, Ghana, and a continent like Africa to be meaningful, we need personal, independent people. People who have attained their personal independence. Then, these people, when per chance some of them become national leaders or continental leaders, then the independence of Ghana and the continent Africa will become relevant, will become meaningful. Thank you very much, and God bless you. I bring today's discussion to a hold. I will go through the questions session that we have, and then see if there are a few questions at the comment section, then I will answer them. Mr. Prado said, good evening, Mr. Mensah. Good evening, Mr. Paul. Must Know Story says that, thank you so much. Good evening. Mr. Imane says that, Mr. Effie, God bless you. G8 Devoted Citizen, greetings from Johannesburg. Greetings to other people in Johannesburg as well. Fly JB Global, say greetings. Movie Cards, thank you for sharing this information. Thank you to Solomon. Says that, good evening, family. Mr. Adolf, I love you so much. Thank you. I also love you all. The law of attraction, yes, great message. We thank God. I cannot go through all of them. I want to see if I can have a question. Paul says the blacks needs development. Very, very necessary. The blacks, we need development. That's the only thing we are lacking. We have all the medicines, we have all the doctors, we have all the engineers, we have all the artists, we have all the communicators, we have all the, but what we lack is personality development. Is there, yes, Paul Ado says that, is there any specific age for a person to be developed? There's no specific age. Development starts right from the very beginning, between the age of 0, between the age of 1 and 10. I gave you what the various ages and the kind of developments that they raise. So you go back to the videos, what the categories of your children and the grouping. So in the age bracket in which that person is, whatever the person needs to develop, you must help that child to develop that ability. So personal development starts from the word go. When your child is around 2-3 years, it has already begun, because it all has to do with the formation of consciousness. And the problem we have is that most of the time we leave these children to ride on their own and acquire so many. By the time we come back to it, hey, we knew SM training now acquire a lot of junk. But when you begin with your child from the very foundation, me and my kids started learning how to meditate at the age of 3 years. by the age of 5 years, they've begun already using mantras for their meditation and affirmations, because you can never leave it for the world to decide what happens to your children. So the development must start right from the world. Maximum from the age of 3 years, where the child now can comprehend and understand basic things. You find a very nice way to start with the child. And that's why the Bible says, train up a child the way he should grow. So development is in the growing process. When you learn to develop in the growing process, it becomes much more easier, and it becomes entrenched in the persona of that child or that person, rather than to grow before you want to learn how to develop it. May the divine essence uplift you always, Mr. Mensah. Today's episode is indeed revealing and so touching. Thank you so much. God bless you too. I'm looking for a question. Good evening, family watching from Saudi Arabia. Thank you. We greet all the Saudi Arabians. Ghana is blessed to have you. Oh, okay. That I thank God. We are here to do our work. When we are done, we'll go, and they can't stop us. Sir, please, it's my first time, and I want to be a member of the personal development class. Okay, you send a WhatsApp to requesting part of the personal development training session. Good evening, sir. How do you, African Sunshine, how do you get the juice or water from the coconut for your white fast? Okay, so this is what you do. When you get the coconut and you get the how do you call it, the copra, okay, the dried coconut, you find a grater, okay, then you grate the coconut, okay. So when you find a grater, you grate the coconut, so the coconut will come out as chaff, okay. So this chaff, you put it in a bowl and you pour reasonable quantity of water that can cook your rice. For every rice you have, if it's 2 cups, you know the quantity of water that can cook that 2 rice. That 2 cups of rice. If it's 1 cup, you know the quantity of water that can cook that 1 cup of rice. So when you grate the coconut and comes out as chaff into the bowl, you put that quantity of water you need into the coconut that has become like chaff, and then you mix it, and then you squeeze the juice out of it. You can put it in the net and then squeeze a mesh, then squeeze the juice for all the water, the water to come out. When the water is coming out, it comes out with the coconut juice. Now it is that juice that you use to prepare the food, to boil the rice. It tastes so wonderful. It looks like you eating rice water with milk. That's how it looks like. It's a very wonderful taste. You don't add salt to it. Okay, the white rice, you stay away from salt. So that's how you get a juice to get your coconut running, to cook your rice. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mensah. Okay, good evening, Ernestina. I hope the family is doing well. Please help me find my career. Okay, then consult the office. Will help you find your career. Meaning a person at 40 can still be developed. Yes, a person at 40 can still be developed. We have people who are 60 years and they are pursuing the path of development. Though when the age is a little bit advanced, you need to put a lot of sacrifice because of the pre-programmed things that you've grown up with. It's a little bit difficult because you need to fight certain preconceived ideas. That's Jesus Christ. You can never put a new wine into an old wineskin. You need to empty. So such a person must empty all that he thinks he knows for the new one to be able to take shape and to take form and conform to that new ideas. Please, I notice most of the agenda for this year is focusing on those in Ghana only. Please include those of us outside Ghana too. Yeah, I know maybe you're talking in terms of the master classes. Yes. So the master classes, we'll be doing it, but it's more or less going to be like a live session. So even if it's not a live session, we're going to have a recorded version of it. But we have that option for those outside, but it's most likely going to be a live session. It's going to be like a Zoom class, okay? But those who will be here, because I don't want to make it too open for the public, because there are certain things we may be talking about. So we're going to have a private class in the form of Zoom or whatever it is, and then we're going to have live session. Obviously, there's going to be small fees attached to it because people will come here and use facilities and all those things. But basically, they'll be open for for the people outside of the country. We always have you in mind because you are part of us, irrespective of where you are. Nestina, Mr. Mesa, please, you have no request for my request to join the personal development. Yes, I've just started dispatching the. Okay, I think I've dispatched just about 5 people. I've screened some of the people and I've dispatched about 5 people. It's not much. I'm still doing the screening and doing the dispatching. The class will start by the end of February, so we have now up to maybe 3rd week of February to do our to meet our payment obligations, and then by the close of February we will officially do the orientation and it starts. By which time I have full and as soon as you hear from me, it's going to come. I'll need questions. What questions? Okay, so yeah, they said time is gone. So I think the rest of them are most of them are comments. So I appreciate all your comments. I thank you all for your love, for your support, and everything. I wanted questions to answer, so we've decided that when the live session is going to, please do well to put your questions at the comment section, because when I'm done with my presentation, I will leave some time to come to the comment section to answer some of the questions. So please, this is the personality development program we are going to have. It started already with the first group, and then the next one. So if you want to join the workshop, the contact is on your screen. Those I noticed some people have sent me, because there are some names I can remember, they were the earliest names that sent me expressing interest in, but because the text message, the WhatsApp I receive are a lot, some of them I'm unable to go to the archives and trace them. So please, if you don't receive anything from us by the close of this month, please get back to us and re-alert us. Maybe your application has gone to the archives and it's very difficult for me to go through all the hundreds and hundreds of WhatsApp messages I receive. So please, if you don't receive, you can resend again. You don't need to just resend it again, that expression of interest to participate in the workshop, and then you send it to this WhatsApp number 0243732861, and then those who want to join our mystical the group, the WhatsApp group, you can join by sending to this number. Next week I'll give an announcement. The WhatsApp group that we have, I know it has been dormant, but I'm trying to understand this community work. The IT guys are doing very well to educate me on. I told you I don't know much about IT, so there are people who are behind the scene doing all these things. You see, I don't know much about IT, though I'm an IT student. I forgot some of these things. So next week I'm going to announce, I'm still contemplating on which day to use. I'm going to pick a day out of next week. It's going to be about 2 to 3 hour program, and it's going to be live discussion. It's going to go on our WhatsApp page, okay? And that discussion is an open forum. You come there with your spiritual questions, okay? Not only spiritual questions, come out there with any question which is bothering you about personal development, life issues, marriage issues, spiritual development issues, meditation issues, yoga practice. Come out with those goals. So it's going to be a general forum. It's a general discussion. Anybody who have contribution can do the contribution. It's not meant for me alone. So I'll be there to answer people's questions, okay? Because I know a lot of people have questions. So I'll be there. I will set one day for our community that is meant for questions only. I don't come to give lectures. No, I only come there. The session is up. We are open, and then you start asking questions. The ones I can honestly answer you, that I know, I'll give you the honest answers. The ones I don't have the answers, I'll jot them down, be frank with you, then I'll go and meditate on them or do the research, and I'll bring you the answers. So it's going to be an open discussion. Come with all your questions that you have regarding spirituality, marriage, business, whatever you have. Come and participate in that. It's going to be a wonderful session. But next week I'll announce the date. Okay, probably even if before next week we're able to hold a meeting before next week, when the date is up, I'll put it on the WhatsApp platform, so that any other day on that day and the time I'll be available. If I will be absent, I will let Abraham pre-inform you that maybe that week, that day, we may not be able to have the session because sometimes I may be engaged doing one thing or another. So that is the new development. I forgot to put in the update of our program that we did last week. So that is what is missing in the update of our program. So thank you. Please take notes. We are going to have a one-day open forum for questions, live questions and answers that we are having now. Those who want to support us too, you can do so by sending your donation to the number on the screen. So I just want to thank everybody for your time, and want to thank all those that wish me and gave me Christmas presents and New Year present. I just want to talk. There some people were so kind enough, send me something small to, after many years of talking one full year around the clock, twice in a week, and doing other videos and other activities. There are some people who are benevolent enough to send me love, to give me something to spend the Christmas with I don't want to mention them because they didn't ask me to mention them. Some of them actually, some people even gave me money. Then I went to buy foodstuffs. What they call it, foodstuffs, like Christmas presents, isn't it? Rice, tomatoes, and oil. So that the IT guys, everybody will go home Christmas feast with something. So all those that had the love to do that, we are much more grateful. We thank you all, and God bless you. And to all of you who help us in many ways, through prayers and through supplications, and whatever it is, we say thank you and God bless you. Till we meet next Wednesday, we say stay blessed and let the love and the light